You're a perfect guest for these NFL times. You won Super Bowls with Brady, Belichick, the Brian Flores situation. But what I want to know first, because you were a hot name out there as a coaching candidate, and you interviewed with, I think, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Eagles last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. How did you feel about the fairness of your hiring interviews, Jerod?
You know, I went into those interviews honestly with zero expectations and just looked at it as a learning experience and the expectation that I went in there to try to learn as much as I could, right? To get outside of my bubble, my New England bubble, to talk to different people. As far as like my expectation of getting a job, I always thought it was 50-50. But at the same time, like you have to remember, like some of these jobs, which I do agree with, like there are definitely top candidates that these guys want to hire, and they're already at the top. And so when you think about some of the biases that are put into place, or you know, even if it's unconscious, people are going to hire people that look like them, or they're going to hire people that they went to high school with, or hire people they went to college with, or you know, that's usually how it happens. And I would say when you look at it from a holistic standpoint with the funnel, you know, we have the minority, which I do think the minority coaching program has done well, at least in New England, because we've found some minority coaches who are hard workers and also very smart, and you can see these guys climbing the ladder. Now, how high that ladder goes, I'm not sure yet because we haven't gotten to that point, but these guys are definitely good. But when you look at the top of the funnel, talking about ownership, like there are no minority owners. Right? There are no minority or owners of color. And so when you look at the top of the house, you know, ultimately they have to sign off on it. But I will say this year I felt like, and this is just me personally speaking, that we did make some steps as far as the general managers are concerned. You know, you look at Kwesi out there in Minnesota, you look at Pace in Chicago, you look at these guys, and there are a bunch of guys in the funnel there that will be GMs probably next year. Morocco Brown from the Colts. Like all these guys, they will be GMs, Glenn Cook. And when that starts to change, now I can see, you know, real progress being made.
Great answer. So John Elway was not hungover at your interview.
And I'll tell you, so John Elway was virtual. So the rest of the guys were there. He was virtual.
Okay.
So he didn't have pants on. That's what you're saying. He didn't have to have pants on. I get it. Okay.
He had pants on.
Jerod Mayo joined us here, 105.3 The Fan. What would you change about the hiring process regarding, you know, the Rooney Rule, if anything?
Yeah, I think the Rooney Rule, you know, there are great intentions with that, but as a black man, you know, standing here before you, like I don't want to be hired because I'm black. That's not why I want to be hired. I want to be hired because I'm competent. I want to be hired because I'm a leader of men. And so when you think about that, it's really just the opportunity to get in front of these people and to really show them who you are. Because I truly believe that a head coach role, a coordinator role, and a position coach role, it takes different skill sets in all those, right? And so every year you see these hot shot coordinators or hot shot coaches that fall off certain trees, and then they end up failing because they really don't have the communication skills, they don't have the leadership skills required to lead a group of men. Now, most of the time, you know, there are a bunch of good X's and O's. Like everyone has good X's and O's, but until you really gain the heart, mind, and soul of a player, they're not going to run through a brick wall for you. And so that's just definitely something that owners need to look at, that general managers need to look at, because we've seen a lot of these hot shot OCs, especially on the offensive side, right? Because those guys usually get the right away. But you see a lot of those guys burn out, right? They flame out because they really don't know how to talk about the different sides of the ball. They don't know how to talk about defense. They don't know how to talk about special teams. When you look at a defensive coach, most of the special teams players are defensive players. And so we understand that as well, the two phases. So we'll see what happens with this next group of guys. You know, I am excited for a guy like Kevin O'Connell, who I know personally. We were drafted together. I think he'll do a fantastic job. But bringing it back full circle, I just think, you know, the Rooney Rule, great intentions, poor implementation. We just got to figure something else out.
Jerod, what do you think about Coach Flores' issue with someone like Belichick's influence with, releasing the text messages or thinking maybe he had something to do with Dayball getting the job? How do you balance, the recommendation from someone like Bill Belichick and recommendations of talking to people around the league and that influence that it has? Because I'm sure in your interviews, like, our team's just so fascinated with the Patriot way and how do they do it with Bill and McDaniels and Robert Kraft and Brady?
Yeah, I would say, just the influence part of it is definitely there. And I don't care what industry, and this isn't a knock to Flo, this isn't a knock to Bill or anyone else, but the influence part will always be there, right? Anytime they check, they're doing their due diligence, they're going to talk to people that they trust. And so I don't know what happened out there at the Giants, and I don't want to speak too much on the case, but at the end of the day, people are going to call people that they trust. People are going to value the opinion of people that they know and that have shown them the right way before, and those things happen no matter what industry we're talking about.
What is like the first thing that comes to mind if we ask you about the greatness of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and working with them for so long?
I would just say competitiveness. When I listen to Bill get up in front of the team talking about competition and doing your job, there's no ambiguity around it, right? Either you did your job or you didn't. And I would say a lot of these teams and a lot of companies as well, what they do is they have these we're going to be honest, we're going to have trustworthiness, like all these words that, like, what does that actually mean? Do your job. Either you got the job done or you didn't. It's black and white. And with Tom, he's just the ultimate professional, guy who's always taking care of his body, always studying film. I remember being on an airplane one time. We're coming back from the West Coast. We just won the game. He's already watching the next game on the plane ride back. And just that forward-looking, that, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, that ability to be able to change the page has always been something I looked up to with Tom.
Did you raise an eyebrow, or did you and some of the coaches say, I don't see the Patriots listed here in this retirement goodbye? I don't see New England in here. Did that bug you or any of the guys?
Nah, it didn't bug us at all. It didn't bug any of the guys as well. I reached out to Tom. He hit me back. I know a lot of guys reached out to him, and really it really didn't even come down to what team it was. I think Tom really focused on his teammates because he knew he couldn't do it all on his own. He had a lot of good teammates here in New England, had a lot of great teammates out there in Tampa Bay, and I'm sure he reached out to all those guys, and all those guys reached out to him. So I didn't take it as a slight in any regard.
What was Pete Davidson like?
He was pretty cool, man. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect when I went in there. But he was a cool guy. He was a cool guy, very laid back. Funny story was, we're on set, and they had the food back there, and the food's all pretty and stuff like that, and he started getting hungry. It's a skinny guy now, and so he just like digs into some macaroni and cheese that's on the table in the back of the commercial. I thought it was hilarious. I was like, I don't know, but look, he took the not wasting food to a whole another level when he started doing that. I said, you know what, this guy is Hellman's all the way.
Did you prank him with the farting machine?
Nah, I didn't get him with the fart machine. It was I had to be professional, even though it was a very funny spin on Terry Tate, the Office linebacker. I was trying to get the job done, man, so it could be a funny commercial for this Sunday.
And then you want to get in your Vols love, Choppy?
Man, I mean, after 10 minutes here talking to you, I do want you as the next coach of my beloved Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah.
So we can,
hook me up, man.
Get rid of this NFL stuff. Let's go back. Let's revitalize that program.
They didn't even call me though, which is crazy. They didn't even call me to, like, when that spot opened up. I would love to go back to Tennessee, but I will say this: I think Heupel's doing a decent job.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens this year. But college football is weird, man. I don't know how I feel about begging a bunch of 17 and 18-year-old kids. Please come play for me.
Well, Jerod, we were thinking that Flores may have unintentionally blackballed himself with the way these owners are, and we're like, man, a guy that sounds this principled and this inside the lines, I would die to have him as my college football coach. Could you see that as a fit?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I can see Flo definitely, gaining a lot of respect from the guys. If he went to college, guys would definitely want to play for him. It's a guy who stands on his principles. You want to play for a guy like that.